Hello and welcome to another episode of the VR Download. This is a show that we do here in the Upload Virtual Studios. And I'm here. My name is Kyle, by the way, your host. Hello. And I'm here with my
Ian
associate.
Hamilton. Yeah. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. And as always, I'm going to always show off our cool hand tracking because it never ceases to blow my mind how this gets better. Look, you can interlock your fingers now, and it doesn't get lost.
Sort of. Ish. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah.
So this is one of the wonderful things about what we do on a daily basis is things just incrementally improve every day. And that's always a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
All right. So how's everybody doing out there in virtual land in the metaverse? If you're watching us on YouTube right now live, welcome. And know that you can put chats into the video chat and we can see them here live on our little pad devices. I don't really know what we should call these, but they are a handy little tool.
We call the TV Stevie. We need to come up with
Stevie
a name for
TV.
these pads.
How about Chad the Pad?
Chad the Pad. I hate Chads, though.
I really don't like that name either, but I've known some nice Chads. So, and then there's like the hanging Chads. So,
yeah. Oh no. Hello, Adam. Hello, Techno Glitch. Hi, Mike. Hi, Ryan 2, and Joe. Yeah.
All right. So maybe we should put it out to the masses, and hey, if you can come up with a good name for the pads, again, know that the TV is Stevie the TV, and so we need a name for the pads. Preferably not Chad is what we're coming up with.
I'm going to pass on Chad. Yeah, I hope we can pass on Chad.
All right. Well, let's get into the news. Ian, are you ready?
Yep, let's do it.
Got quite a number of little fun things to talk about today, and we're going to start off with one that I think could actually turn out to be fairly interesting. Be curious to see how this turns out. So our first piece of news here: refurbished original. Oculus Quest. I almost said OG. Oculus Quest on sale for $199. And that's the original, the Quest 1. I don't know if we want to call it Quest 1, but it's refurbished for a limited time. Facebook, for a limited time. That's intriguing. Facebook is selling refurbished versions of the original Oculus Quest for $199. Ian, do you personally find yourself buying a lot of refurbished equipment?
No. Yeah, I usually buy new across the board, but I don't know, $200. That's such a tempting price. I can understand why someone would want it's why Oculus Go existed in the first place, was because that $200 price point was so compelling, and it's interesting to see Quest at that price.
You know, when I think about the concept of refurbished, I have personally bought refurbished items before. I don't have a problem with refurbished as long as it has some level of warranty, which I would imagine these do to some degree. Usually, refurbished is usually a lower warranty amount, lower amount of time, but it's still something to give you. But what I want to bring up with the refurbished concept is, what exactly are the fail points that would need to be refurbished on the Quest original? I mean, what are the things that they would have to refurbish in order to sell it?
It's funny because I have a brick of a Quest 1 somewhere in a box somewhere here, and I don't know where the failure point on it was. I just can't get it to turn on. And don't leave me in the comments all the secret ways to reset the iPad. Not the iPad. People are all giving us names of all the pads in the comments, so it's in my mind. No, but don't tell me the ways to reset the Quest, because I've tried everything with that original Quest and I can't bring it back. I don't know what killed it. But yeah, the screen can go bad. The battery can lessen over time, and I haven't. I have a brick Quest. I don't know what killed it, but have you had any Quest die on you?
I have not. I've got 2 OG Quests that are very, very functioning and heavily used by my 2 children. And, my Quest 2 is on my head right now. So I don't It's an Android device, and for a frame of reference, I have had multiple Android devices throughout my life, and I will say this, that there are a few Android devices that I have had that have just kaput, die, just for no reason at all. And sometimes it requires a reset to a point wherein, like you're saying, that there's all sorts of different ways to reset a Quest. I believe that is indicative of it being an Android device. So there's a very good possibility that a couple dead pixels, they pop out the screen, put a new one in, or there's a scratch on one of these little guys, one of the little cameras, or maybe something got unseated. I don't know, but so here's the list. Refurbished approval process, and no visible cosmetic imperfections, no scratches on the display, no dents on any part of the equipment. All branded markings, letters, and logos are intact, because that's critical. All previous accounts and data have been wiped. If repaired, all components must be from the original equipment manufacturer. That's good to know. And all refurbished headsets are backed by a 30-day returns policy and a 6-month warranty. That's pretty solid. Most of the refurbished stuff that I've bought has always been like 90 days.
Yeah, it'll die after, it'll die at month 7, but yeah,
right. Isn't that how it works? It's a conspiracy. They're designed to die right after the warranty. Yeah. Love it.
I'm loving the comments. I love all the comment names. Patrick, MadPad, the comment Toblet, Dad the Pad. I kind of like Dad the Pad, but I also like. Yeah, these are great.
Good. That's awesome. So do you think that, well, first of all, let's talk about the fact that it's limited time. I think it's more along the lines of limited quantity, if one had to guess. But limited time means like, act now, supplies are limited. Do you think there's, 100,000 of these, a million, 48?
Question.
I mean, what kind of quantity are we looking at?
Yeah, it's a great question. I don't know. I'm more curious, kind of like the what this serves Facebook in the larger context, because it would be really cool if you could turn in your old Quest to get a new Quest and get a discount on a new Quest over time. And I sort of wonder, like, if they can see what kind of the sales rates are of the original Quest at this price, and maybe when the Quest 3 comes out, they could take all your old Quest 2s and make some money back on, breaking them down for parts and selling off those components, and then give you a discount on Quest 3 or something like that. That's exactly what Apple does with some of their, programs, and some of the carriers have sort of programs where you turn in your old device and get a new device. I don't know how many there would be out there, because they never gave us an indication of how big that Quest 1 market was.
Well, not just that, but the bigger question is where did these come from? Are these duds off the line? Or are these returns that people got, they swapped them out? Or these, what exactly, what is the source of these?
Well, remember, they did take they did stop Quest 1 sales pretty suddenly to roll out Quest 2. So maybe those were, they had to figure out what to do with them eventually, and it just makes sense, 6 months later to kind of quietly roll them out, test out the $200 price tag, test out how quickly they get pulled up at that price. So
to me,
maybe they were left on shelves.
Yeah, but to me, it seems extremely intelligent to put that $200 price point on last year. I mean, the OG Quest is perfectly viable still from most of the games. I don't want to say all, because somebody will point out this one doesn't now, but the Quest is still a solid piece of kit for VR experiences, and the more that they can put this hardware into people's hands, the more likely they're going to get more sales off of it. So this just creates more people who can buy games from the platform.
But let's be fair, like the commenters, and we've said this ourselves in the article, $100 more for the Quest 2 for $300 is, if you can afford it, go get it. I mean, it's a lighter device, more powerful, better frame rate. All of these things are dramatic, will have a huge effect on your overall experience. So if you can afford the Quest 2, go for it. And if you don't mind Facebook, go for it. of course. That's assumed in everything we say. You have to not mind Facebook if you're going to get a Quest. But just, it's a brick, right? I mean, the Quest 1 is still a brick, and the Quest 2 is still heavy. But like, just keep that in mind. If you can afford the Quest 2, go get it.
Sure. Yes. In most tech, if you can afford the next step up, definitely take that step. That's definitely good advice, Ian.
Daddy Patty. I like
The
Brad Pad.
Daddy Patty. I think that might be used.
Dad the Pad. Padrick.
Padrick is growing on me.
Professor uploads Miracle Word Square. I kind of like that one too, Mike.
Well, I'm glad to see that the exciting topics are the ones that are getting the most attention. I love our audience. Thank you so much. You guys and girls are awesome. Let's get into the next. Yeah.
We'll need a phone eventually, right? Because this is the end medium is what they call it, right? And so we're sort of, we've got our legacy TV and our legacy pad. We'll need a legacy phone, and while we're wearing the latest, greatest virtual reality gear.
Do we want a phone, or do we want it to go straight into like a watch? Ooh, I can just go like this and be like, who knows? I don't know. Actually, here's the challenge, Heaney. I hope you're listening. I want to be able to take the pad and pick it up and like shrink it down and pull it bigger and, pull it really huge and throw it on the wall. That's what I want. Dynamic. That's what it's all about.
No.
One word for you.
I'm happy with it, Heaney. Don't change anything. It's great.
Oh, man. Well, we'll talk about that in the next staff meeting. All right, let's get into the next piece of news because it's actually quite interesting. This is something that a lot of us have been waiting for to some degree. Oculus Quest 2 gets multi-user support and local app sharing. Facebook started rolling out the ability to log into multiple accounts on Oculus Quest 2 alongside local app sharing. Now, here's what's interesting for me, Ian, and I'm sure you've got the same experience at your home. There's a situation where you've got multiple headsets, but your account is only associated to one. So maybe, kid over here has one or somebody else has one, and you've bought the game, but they haven't. And, you spend $30 on Beat Saber and you want to be able to play with somebody else in the house. Do you have to buy it 3 times?
Yeah, you usually do. Yeah. I mean, it's so the language on the app sharing is very, very particular from Facebook. They even said in their blog post that things could change as there's more quests out there in the market. The way account sharing and app sharing works might change. So there's kind of like a heads up that this could be just the initial way that we do all this. You have an admin account on a Quest. So that's the account that gets factory reset, that you can like remotely reset it if you need to. But that's like the parent account of the Quest. And then you can add multiple accounts that are also usable on that headset. And those get access to the admin accounts shared apps. So obviously I had this issue over Christmas. I mentioned it on previous shows where my brother's daughter was, she was logged into a second Quest I had, and my brother accidentally live streamed to her Facebook page our ping pong match in VR. And so like there's people, her friends and are commenting on her Facebook page thinking she's playing table tennis when it's actually her dad and me playing table tennis. And it's like, that can't get more awkward. So this is going to make that a lot smoother and erase that from happening when people can switch accounts really fast. The app sharing, though, is really, you do have to more or less buy it again when you have multiple headsets. And honestly, I can't not, every app purchase supports a developer out there. And we talk to these developers all the time, and they're hardworking people who are just trying to make a living doing what they love, making the future, building software that, no one has ever even imagined existing before. And they've actually, making it real. And so like when you have to buy an app multiple times, I understand it, and I kind of, it's tough to buy Beat Saber 6 times, and that money specifically goes to Facebook. So that's not a great example, but like there's lots of games out there that you're really supporting a person out there who's very hardworking.
So here's one spot where I feel like it's going to be the most beneficial to me. I am really bad at Echo. I'm terrible at Echo. And my daughter is, she's ruthless and awesome and level 50. She actually originally, when she started playing, was playing on, don't tell anybody, at Facebook, on my account. Leveled me up to 50. Then I said, no. When I got the Quest 2, I'm like, this one is yours. This is your Quest. You connect it to your Facebook account, and you re-level yourself up. And so she did. If that had been a game that cost $50, she's already invested in one account, and now she's switching over to another one. Luckily, it's, Echo's not $50. But now my account is leveled up to 50. So when I go into play, all these people are like, how are you level 50? You suck. And I'm like, oh, God, okay.
Just getting crushed, yeah.
I am not good at it.
No, it's a tough game, yeah. I've played it a bunch. I love the game. It's an amazing game, amazing team sport. And you can go in there and spectate a lot now, too, can't you? Pretty cool.
I think I've heard that. I haven't tried to do that myself. But I think the reality of this is that now I could have shared the headset with her. She could have had her account. I could have had my account, and never the twain shall they meet, that sort of thing. And I think that's very valuable, especially for families, Yeah. Do we have any comments?
Sorry, that the commenters are distracting me, Mike, saying that our avatars have chairs but no butts or legs. It's a good point, but it's better, that we don't have backs on our chairs, so our heads aren't disappearing into the chairs. But we like to imagine that we have legs. Eventually, one day we'll have legs, right?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, inverse kinematics are hard. We don't have arms either. We just have hands. No elbows.
I like Ryan's comment here that the pad could become a wristwatch, that maybe he could just give you a pad on your wrist, and then you've got exactly what you wanted. You can just
It's all I ever wanted.
Have this giant pad on your wrist.
Digging it, man. Digging it. All right. Hey, let's move on to the next piece of news. What do you say?
Yep.
I'm going to actually switch this up a bit because I believe that the next logical thing to talk about, since we're on this Quest kick here, actually, no. There's one more thing I want to bring up about app sharing. I just took a look at my notes here. Is app sharing only on Quest 2?
Multi-user support is only on Quest 2. They're only doing that initially on Quest 2 for now. I think they're planning to bring it to Quest. It was in their post, but it's launching only on Quest 2, which is kind of a bummer for those Quest 1 people out there.
It's also very interesting because it feels like, I wonder why they wouldn't roll it out to everybody all at once.
Yeah, it's sort of suggestive of the way that Facebook iterates and how focuses their teams, more or less. So kind of like kind of an indication that their focus is on Quest 2 right now. And if there's any change needed to make it compatible with Quest 1, yeah, we'll get to it down the line, but our focus needs to be on the platform that's in most people's hands at any given moment. And they did that with Rift. They kind of did it with Go, where they just like put these devices on the back burner when they become, no longer the priority for them. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, next piece of news here. Facebook's Andrew Bosworth, hints at 120 hertz refresh rate on Quest 2 simply by doing this. It's like, okay. In his latest Instagram AMA, Andrew Bosworth teased the potential of Oculus Quest 2 running at a higher 120 hertz refresh rate. Now, I first of all, totally cool. The higher the refresh rate, the smoother everything will be, and blah, blah, blah. Of course, it takes a lot of power to do that. And so, what's a 30% increase in battery drain going to do for you?
Yeah.
If it pans out that way, I don't know for sure.
We'll see. Yeah, I'm really curious to see how it works. One of the theories is it could be a link feature, that it's something you get when you link it and have the wired connection. And of course, that would be interesting too if that's a precursor to them going wireless, because like when you do the wired connection, maybe you could go up to 120, and then when you go wireless, maybe you're stuck at 90 or 72
Sure.
more often. And that's how they could balance that battery consumption situation, is by sort of figuring out how to make those trade-offs happen. If you've got a wired connection, you've obviously got a charge coming in.
Yeah. Now we all know that Michael Abrash at one point said that we need to hit 240. So we're slowly going from 30 to 60 to 72 to 90 to 120. 144, I guess, is next. And then, maybe we do hit 240. Do we have monitors yet that are at 240?
I don't remember. I think 144 is pretty standard right now for like if you want top end gaming. I don't know if I've seen ones go faster, but of course they always announce them at CES, and it's like, yeah, it's theoretically possible, but whether it's a consumer product or even like a consumer product that's affordable is an entirely different question.
Sure. I wonder if it generates more heat if it goes to a higher refresh rate.
It reminds me of I remember HDR. There was one of the people at Valve made a comment at one of I think it was GDC's, spoke about. Actually, I don't remember when the comment was made, but Valve apparently experimented with HDR displays, and they said they had like a beach scene with the sun coming down, and the heat coming off the display made it that much more immersive to actually feel like you're on the beach with the heat beating down on you. That's how much heat was coming off the display, and I thought that was pretty funny. I would have loved to experience that.
It's a good thing it wasn't Antarctica
Once.
at night, or that would have been a completely different situation.
Yep.
So, I don't know, 120 hertz, that's fun. Battery life, that's unfortunate, but hey, that's the trade-off, Any new fun comments there?
Yeah, the people talking about there's 360 hertz monitors. Linus Tech Tips has a review of a 240 hertz screen. People talking about giving you, they say that you should have the tablets as your hands, Kyle. That would solve everything if you just had the tablet right as your hands instead.
So I'll just look up like this. Okay, in the next piece of news is, as I hold my hands in front of my face, I kind of like stationary here. I kind of like that. I would like it to be on like a swivel so I can move it around a little bit. I don't know. Picky. That's the lovely part about development, is when you get to this part where you're doing all the nitty gritty, nitpicky stuff. And so, let's just move this over just another inch. That'd be perfect. That's the fun part of development.
Daniel has a comment here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, asking about Shadow PC. I can't say anything except check our website tomorrow.
Ooh. Yeah. Ominous.
Yeah.
All right.
I can't say anything else, but yeah, that's a good question. And yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Hey, let's talk about guns. StrikerVR. StrikerVR raises $4 million. Hold on, let's see if I get $4 million for a consumer VR gun accessory. Now, StrikerVR says it raised $4 million in a strategic funding round and plans to bring it soon to be announced consumer product to market with a variety of content later this year. I have used this gun at expos. I've seen multiple iterations of it over the course of several years, and I have to be honest, it feels awesome. It is an amazing feeling. Have you tried this, Ian?
Yeah, it's usually shown with OptiTrack in like their most giant setups. So OptiTrack is the camera company that makes the really high end camera sensors that you have to line the whole area with dozens of these cameras to track every little thing, and it costs hundreds of $1,000s to equip these OptiTracks everywhere. And then I want to say some of these guns had some of these lights inside of them so they could be better picked up by those cameras. And yeah, they feel amazing when you've got like a backpack PC and you can walk around the whole space. Amazing, but obviously it's such a painful. All those cameras. It's just no one's ever going to actually do that. And so the question on my mind, everyone else's mind, is this going to work with standalone VR and the Quest? And how is like what kind of games is it going to work with?
Yeah, you would either have to be able to attach a controller to it, or it's going to have to be able to be tracked like our hands are being tracked, and obviously that throws a whole nother level of weirdness to it, because you have occlusion still to deal with. I mean, here I'll make my hands. Oh, my hands disappeared. Oh no, but that one didn't. Nope. Oh, no, wrong hand. Okay. See, so there's all sorts of like just even right now type of problems. So if I go and try to grab this gun and I'm holding it like this and I decide to push it down here, just to kind of go around a corner or something, poof, the gun is gone. Oh, there's my hand. It's. I am also very curious as to how they are going to tackle that, but I do think that there are possible ways.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, there's, I went back, I emailed the company a little bit about it to understand where they're going. And they were pretty vague with their answers, to be perfectly honest. And, but one of the things is you can obviously put a controller, mount it into the top of the gun, and the controller tracking ring would be visible to the headset. And obviously, there's these homemade 3D printed and even some accessories you can buy, and they have integration with some of the games out there. And you can do this today with your own accessories and have products like this. Pistol Whip, there was that amazing custom gun that was made for Pistol Whip. So there's some great solutions out there. It's just there needs, to your point about losing tracking when it goes down and that sort of thing, there still needs to be some integration with the headset in order for this to be a really fantastic experience. There's latency of the haptics to consider. There's when the gun is down at your side to consider, like how does that behavior work? Does the headset try to figure out the gun's location even if it's low? And there's obviously all the different ways you can hold a gun that need to be, it needs to be work, no matter how you're holding it. Because there's nothing more fun than like holding a gun sideways and shooting around a corner and still, getting the bad guys he's coming and not exposing your body. So it needs to work in lots of conditions like that.
Yeah. You need to be able to like walk up to somebody and like, pow, 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 hold it way up here like this. You need to be able to do that. Let's take out the challenges, the tracking challenges from this gun, and let's say that they've got it perfect. They nail it. It's amazing. It tracks wonderfully. It feels great. What are you, Ian, who plays Pistol Whip and games like that, what are you willing to pay for something like this?
Honestly, I'd pay a lot. I think it's worth a couple $100 potentially. I don't think they'll price at that point, but there's enough people out there that I don't know, that you just leave the controllers at home. They just want to go in there for 1 or 2 gun games. They're going to buy the headset for just 2 shooter games, and you need to have the best accessory possible for that shooter game. And if you can make a great gun with great haptics, that's a package in and of itself that is better than the controller package. And obviously with hand tracking getting so good, there's the potential that you can still play some hand tracking specific games, or control your media and still get to certain things without the controllers. I don't think they're going to segment the audience, right? And all those developers who made games with controllers aren't going to you're not going to leave them out in the cold overnight, because now you're supporting a gun instead. It's worth a lot. I think there's plenty of people who would want a Quest with that experience.
It would be terrible for us not to mention the fact that this product was originally designed for location-based entertainment experiences. So your places like, I don't know, the Void or some of these other location-based, where you go to an arcade and they suit you up. This is the type of thing. Now, unfortunately, as a result of our current universe situation of coronavirus and lockdowns and quarantines and just general stupidity all the way around, people aren't able to go back to the LBEs right now, the location based entertainment centers, and experience stuff like this. So, do you think Striker is just pivoting very unusually too, because normally we see it the other direction? They're pivoting from enterprise to consumer as opposed to the other way around.
Yeah, it's a great question. And that was one of the ultimate questions is they wouldn't say who has invested in them right now. And there's lots of reasons why that could be the case, right? They're just not ready. And there's plenty of reasons. But I also wonder about the value of a gun to Facebook at this point. Several of the gun games out there are in the top earners. Onward and Population 1, I believe, are two of the games to have earned more than $10 million on the Quest platform.
This would be fun with Pop 1. Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's a fair chance, but it obviously could be anyone. There's a fair chance Facebook could have invested in them. Yeah.
Why does it matter who invested in them? Like who would be a naughty person that you'd be like, I don't want to see this product exist now?
Well, I think that's kind of the reason I bring that up is Facebook has had kind of an uncomfortable relationship with the idea of guns and gun games over the years. I went to Oculus Connect, all the Oculus Connects and Facebook Connects, and at the last one, I remember John Carmack getting one of, I think it was ProTube. It might have been their gun stock, but he tried, the gun stock with a Quest, I think it was. And I remember him commenting that there's, I'm going to try to see if we can get, I'm paraphrasing in the worst possible way right now. I always like quoting people directly, but it was more or less implied that Facebook has a really uncomfortable relationship with the idea of guns being associated with their technology. They're trying to make, they pitch these platforms as creation platforms, as socially nice, making friends that you've never had a chance to meet before, finding communities that you can't actually find because they're on the other side of the country or on the other side of the world. So like these headsets are supposed to connect you, not what we're talking about here, shooting people. And so like there's an uncomfortability there with Facebook with the idea of guns. And I think guns are, gun games are what gamers want. So, Boneworks, right? Boneworks is an incredible project that's all surrounded around the physics and quality of guns. And speaking of, that's another point in this, where is the Boneworks game for Quest? And what would it benefit from having something like this? Because keep in mind, to be clear here, Boneworks itself is not going to come to Quest. It's too big a game. But they did say at one of the Facebook events that Boneworks, a game in the Boneworks universe, was going to come to Quest. And it would be amazing to have a gun like this for that.
Yeah, I mean, and it would be. And I think it is a very difficult, very thin line that you have to walk on to have first-person shooter experiences, but not push guns. I mean, Facebook has to, I think a lot of companies, they waffle back and forth on whether or not they should endorse games that can be perceived as overly violent, or they could be extremely cathartic. And depending on which, where you want to sit and what school of thought you want to be in, I personally don't have any problem with gun stuff.
I waffle on it myself personally. There's disconnected there. I just plugged in my headset because I was running out of power. Anton Hand, hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. I bring them up a lot. I appreciate the ethics of that gun game where you shoot hot dogs. You don't shoot people. And people are constantly asking for me, asking that developer to put more human-like targets in their game, and it's just no, and it's a very simple ethical decision for that developer to not take that extra step and put actual humans to shoot in the game. And I think it's a really interesting and notable decision for that developer to make. And I think people should, I like to draw attention to it and make sure people know that that decision was made. There was, of course, people who have argued that people can train to kill people in VR. And in fact, that's one of the earliest uses for VR, is to more or less practice. The argument, of course, on the other hand, though, for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades is that there is still, even if you improve things considerably, an enormous gap between what it means to actually hold a weighty recoil, gun that gives you recoil, what that means, in reality versus, so maybe you can learn some things from a VR headset, but you can't necessarily learn all of them, is the implication. But there have been, there was an op-ed written a couple years ago by one of the researchers at Stanford talking about, you need to purposefully design gun games in VR to be different from reality so that people don't train to kill other people with VR headsets. It's, it's one of those things that's, as VR is going to become more popular, this discussion is going to come up again and again. And we need to be careful about it. And that's kind of the point here with Facebook, is even if gun games are growing in popularity and making a lot of money on the Quest platform, how directly Facebook wants to be involved in that is a question that they're going to have to grapple with. And Valve has some of the best gun games on Steam.
There is just so many different ways you could take this conversation, and I don't think that we should get into the whole ethical debate of whether or not guns are bad, guns should be in, okay. You can't necessarily get into all that in the amount of time that we have, but if there are games where you throw snowballs, and if you could claim that throwing that snowball is training you on how to throw a grenade correctly, or I could play
paintball
Quake Arena.
Paintball.
Yeah, right. It's paintball, right? I mean, paintball is a legit thing. People do that competitively even. Are you training for that? Is that the same? Is learning how to be a marksman in paintball going to also make you a trained assassin? I mean, there's all sorts of weird ways that you could take this whole conversation. And I think it's just up to each person individually to decide what's good for them, good for their children, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think, they set the age range starting at 13, even though we know that lots of people put their kids younger than that into these headsets. It's a big discussion that we don't have time for today. It's just, we need to be thinking about it, and we need to keep discussing it. And it's going to be something I think we need to watch for this year, because I think it's going to be if Quest 2 is, as Facebook says, the first mainstream VR headset, then it makes sense to appeal to gamers more directly and really try to get them into gun games in VR.
Sure. And I think everybody's got a different perspective on that, but it is a hot topic still. It is a hot topic. Okay, well, let's move on. And do we have any comments to?
Yeah, people talking about how this is a common issue. I mean, people had this very debate over action movies in the 80s. Obviously, it's been a debate in video games that already exist for decades. And of course, people can actually go to a gun range, and kids can go to gun ranges, actual real gun ranges, and handle real guns and go hunting in many places. So, I mean, what's the harm in, as you said, cathartic escapism? But it's, this is a different medium than other mediums. This is actually training you. They're using VR headsets to train people to do jobs. You can train people to do lots of things in VR, and it's a question of, how much, what kind of, there's questions about what kind of guardrails are in there and what kind of warnings. And we've talked about this before, that like, you know, I wonder how people who don't have a good grip on reality or hate society, how they're going to use these headsets, that everyone who goes to these VR conventions and talks about VR opening their minds and ethics of VR, you know, yes, that's true for 90% of people, but what about the few percentage points of people who think about the world differently than you do?
Well, when you design
Alakazam,
stuff like
thank you.
this, yeah. Oh, what's that big red
There's
thing?
Yeah, they gave us some money. Thank you, Alakazam. And the comment is, in my opinion, if you don't want to play a shooter game or a violence game in VR, just don't play it. Simple as that. Don't
Exactly.
stop the process. Yeah, I mean that's yeah, I understand that.
Yep.
That thinking.
Yep. In the words of George Carlin, you can always change the channel. Don't have to listen. Okay. Well, we have one more piece of news here that I find very intriguing. Through Lens clip shows the supremacy of Passthrough AR. A short Through the Lens clip of the upcoming Lynx R1 mixed reality headset shows the advantages of Passthrough AR over transparent optics, wider field of view, and truly opaque virtual objects. Now, I think the critical component here is that this claims, and I'm going to say this, that it claims to be pass-through, which means there's a camera on the outside. It is pumping through the real world and then also augmenting it with the digital stuff on top. Now, the difference between that and something like a HoloLens is that the HoloLens you're seeing through a semi-transparent, semi-reflective display that's putting basically digital images on top of the real world. So there's things like occlusion, there's things like transparent opacity that you have to worry about. With this, you're basically augmenting a video stream. So it's like CG graphics in a movie, essentially, which can be 100% opaque. Now, I have been looking at this and have been thinking about this. Now, I do believe that pass-through is a solid explanation for the right way to do AR. I think pass-through with this sort of setup, I think this is extremely valuable and that they should pursue this. It'll be a battle. This will be the console wars, is pass-through versus actual transparent semi-reflective displays. I wonder, though, if this video is truly representative. And I know, Heaney, I brought this up to you during our discussion the other day. Can you put up the image of the camera that they claim to have used to make this setup? And I wanted everybody to see that right here. You can see the real world out here, and then there's very obviously, here's the image. But they did a picture of the GoPro setup that they used to capture this, and I'm skeptical, but I'm sure there's an obvious explanation. I'm sure there's a very because the setup that they show for the capture has two cameras, two GoPros. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so if you look at that video and then you look at this setup, so you can see right here where the lens is, and you can see here where I guess what you're looking into is right here, and then here's the external camera that's going out here. But there's this whole shell. And when you look at the video, and I could be wrong, somebody can tell me I'm wrong, but when you look at the video of the setup, it just doesn't feel like this is capturing that video. But I could be wrong. I could be absolutely wrong. I don't know. Ian, what do you think? I'm kind of rambling here.
Well, I want to do comment on this for a sec, but I want to say thank you to Alakazam, who's given us some money. Thank you so much. And please do support us, subscribe to us, become a member, and we really appreciate the support. And Alakazam's comment here is, love the show. I'm growing on AR tech. I think we can make AR glasses that can play games and go to a location and meet up with someone and find other players like in Ready Player One. So I'm skeptical too. It's very tough to believe anything you see AR in a video format, because videos actually provide, like, when you see even a smartphone-based AR app, that's been captured through the phone and then put on Twitter, it can make it look, you as a person viewing that are able to process it and get the impression of what that's supposed to be like. Like, we're so trained to accept what movies are telling us as a story that AR videos really click and it makes sense. But the experience of those smartphone AR experiences are always terrible, almost always terrible. And then we don't have great AR headsets yet where the field of view of any AR content. So here's my field of view for a VR headset today. My hands are at the edges of what I'm actually able to see in VR. But if I was to put on a HoloLens or a Magic Leap 1, I would only be able to see augmented content to about here, maybe even less. And so I'm constantly frustrated that I can't see cool stuff out to here. I can't see, I only see the real world out there. And the argument that what we've got with VR right now is the most spatially smart headset on the market right now is the Quest. You put on the Quest, you can set up a room boundary with your fingers, and then the headset sort of lets you know with little red lines coming up from the ground, hey, you might want to move that object out of your play space because there's actually something in your play space. That, what I'm just describing, is the most advanced spatially understanding we get out of a VR headset today. AR headsets like HoloLens are very, they're mapping out the room always and really doing a very fine job of understanding everything. But they still have that optical problem. And the reason I'm sort of getting into the weeds here is that when the VR headsets understand as much of the world as like HoloLens does, when it's more than just red lines coming out of the ground, when it knows that my couch is over there, it's my TV over here, it's a dog walking into the room, my kid coming over here to talk to me. When the headset knows all of those things, then we start entering mixed reality. And I hate these discussions on Twitter when people argue about the definitions of all these terms. But we will have this world where VR headsets and AR headsets do pretty much the same things. It's just one you're going to want to wear out in the real world, or one you're only going to wear when you're inside your home, or maybe in like a backyard play area where you've like set up obstacles or something like that. All this is to say is that the see-through optics have such a long way to go, right? You've got, if you want to wear something out in the real world, it's got to work with bright lights beaming down, the sunlight, and you've still got to see solid objects, solid virtual objects. That may still be decades away. It really might be.
I disagree. I disagree with you. I think we're much, much closer than you think. I think that this right here is representative of similar to what we'll end up with from Apple eventually. I think that the pass-through AR, I'll just go ahead and say it. I think pass-through AR is the path to go down for AR.
Sure. No, what I'm saying is that see-through optics, the ones like HoloLens, transparent optics, the ones with HoloLens, the Magic Leap 1, where you're seeing through glass to the real world beyond, I'm saying getting solid objects that look solid in every type of environment, that may be many, many years away. I'm in agreement with you that this approach, where you've got an opaque display and they're managing every pixel that comes into your eyes, is a path that makes a lot more sense in the near term. And you expand out the field of view. It's already the field of view is already larger than the field of view of the AR optics. And hopefully in the next generation, we get out even further and it's going out to here. I can't see my hands right now. But like, hopefully we get it out to here. And then you actually have color cameras on here. Quest obviously has black and white views of the real world. What we're seeing on this is what we want out of future quests and out of the Apple VR headset.
I'll tell you right now, I'm going to make a prediction. The way that these cameras on the front of this thing, which, by the way, whoever's making this device, please send me one. I'm desperate to try this out. The HoloLens, I've spent at least 1,000 hours on the HoloLens. I'd love to see how this varies from that. But I think that a Quest 3 is going to have cute little eyes on the front of it, just like this does. And I have a feeling it'll have color cameras and that it will do what this one says that or claims that it does. I have a feeling because I think all Facebook would need to do right now to get something similar to this would be to release the ability to see the external for the developers to be able to use the external cameras, which is something that developers are screaming about, that they want that feature. I think they're going to have to eventually do it to make this sort of thing possible.
No, keep in mind, they've used the word broker, I think, to describe them as this intermediary between developers and consumers, the people at home using these headsets. So Facebook is, they got burned, is the best way I can put it, by the access they gave to developers on their Facebook platform. Cambridge Analytica and all the other examples, they let developers basically just promise to be ethical and not misuse data. And of course, there were, lowest common denominator developers who decided to harvest data off of the Facebook platform rather than keeping to that promise that Facebook basically asked them to do. I think the writing is on the wall. It's clear that Facebook doesn't want to repeat what they did there with their VR and AR platform. So they're intermediating, they're standing as a wall between consumers and developers and only letting developers access to certain information. So it would be possible for Facebook to let developers know there's a couch, there's a chair, there's magazines on the table, there's portraits on the wall, but without letting the developers themselves know seeing the raw data. They can give them just certain amounts of data. And Facebook could frankly pick which developers they want to give those extra APIs in order to, not repeat what they did with their previous Facebook platform. So I don't know that they're going to ever give developers full access to all the camera data.
See, I think they're going to have to. I think they'll be forced to because all their it'll be peer pressure. Peer pressure will force them to allow this because I think the Quest 3 could very well be the highest selling consumer pass-through AR device if Facebook allows it to be. There, that's a good quote. I don't know. What is this, Heaney? What? This looks internal.
I think this is an example of them doing, these are Facebook. I think these are some of their advanced Facebook avatars. Spatial. Okay. That's right. Okay, so Spatial has access to the Oculus Quest pass-through API. So you're right. They are giving it out to some developer. We're both right, kind of, in a way. We're both wrong in a way, too.
What you said about having to pick specific developers that you trust. Yeah. Spatial's been around for a long time. That's a name I've heard quite a number of times over the years. They're legit folks. They know what they're doing, and I can't wait. Can't you wait until our avatars look like this, Ian? It's going to be so yummy
I know.
To have avatars like this.
I've tried these avatars in Spatial, and they're still coming out a little weird. Because you take the photo, and it's kind of looks a little weird.
Hey, it's a good start. It's a good start. Yeah. So, do we have anything in our comments? Take a look.
Yeah. People are commenting about the difference between AR and VR. Obviously, that we can't wear that bulky headset out in the real world. We're not going to walk around with that headset in the real world. We need to have really small gear for that, and everyone is aware of that. let's see. Yeah, Tobii eye tracking. We've Tobii eye tracking is impressive. Every company has an eye tracking company, but the issue is it needs to work on 100% of people, or very, very near 100% of people.
Absolutely, absolutely. The eye tracking, I have unfortunately very long eyelashes, and I have trouble with, I have long, luscious eyelashes. Thank you very much. And it screws with the eye tracking, and I've tried several versions of it, and I know a few folks that have, bad eyes for other reasons, and as a result, it can't track them either. It's a challenge to come up with something that'll accommodate everyone, but I think just like the IPD, it'll do most, and that's good enough to get a product out. So I think eye tracking is definitely a must. Probably in the Quest 3. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, the comment from Ryan here, looking forward to a time when AR glasses are mainstream. I have vision issues, and it would be sweet to be able to use AR glasses to augment my vision. I think that's kind of the thing we kind of expect. John Carmack, the technical guide at Facebook, has sort of hinted that AR glasses that improve your vision or let you see telescopically would be a killer feature right off the bat for these devices. And I think that's kind of like the underlying issue here, where these companies have to learn how to make these things work on all sorts of faces. We still get, and obviously reach out to us, tips@uploadvr.com if you've had an issue, but we hear from commenters who are putting Quest 2s on their faces, and it's aggravating the skin where it's contacting their faces, and they're getting irritation. So Facebook obviously came out and said that some Quest 2s are doing this, and there's a small percentage of people who are reporting this issue. I myself have had a little bit of this skin irritation issue with the Quest, but it's a great example of how, not everyone's body chemistry is the same. And some people have allergic reactions to things that other people don't. And so there just has to be an extraordinary amount of user testing on various people in order to get all of this right and not make it hurt anybody. And it's a long road that's going to take years and years and years to pull off.
Yep. No, absolutely. So, yeah, it's
Mike, one size fits some.
Yeah. Well, in my larger days, I used to joke that one size fits all stuff. It should actually just say one size fits everybody but Kyle. And it's unfortunate whenever I see one size, I go, oh, who decided that was appropriate? This wouldn't fit me, and it definitely wouldn't fit other people I know. And it's a
notable that the Apple Watch comes in multiple sizes. There's a small size one and a large size one for different wrist sizes, and I think that's typical. I wouldn't be surprised to see multi-sized Apple headsets.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the beauty, isn't it? That we're all different. We're all a little different, and that's what makes life interesting. Well, I'll tell you what, Ian, this has been I'm very impressed with the amount of interaction that we had with this. So thank you to the folks who are watching live on YouTube and chatting in our live chat. It makes us feel like we have an audience, and that's ultimately,
I appreciate these comments so much. Yeah, we love commenting. We love communicating with you. We're sorry if we didn't read back your comment or interact with it. We do read these comments, and they do influence our thinking. And we love reading out these useful, interesting comments. And it's such a great. We love this format, and we're getting better all the time. And thank you for joining us. And of course, subscribe, become a member, support us. We're going to ask the hard questions, and we're ramping up our interviews. So keep coming back to our channel. We're going to be having a lot more interviews in VR with some of the people building some amazing stuff out there.
I want to say shout out here to Mike Ward Draws. Thank you for shirking your work to watch us and make funny comments about the the t-shirt comment that I made. Thank you. That's really funny. Yeah, I do want to encourage everyone to go out to uploadvr.com, check out our YouTube page, all the stuff that Ian said, and more. Plenty of stuff going on. Did you have something else you wanted to add, Ian?
Oh, just Daniel. I didn't say it was Shadow News coming tomorrow, but it's related to your question. You'll want to check our site tomorrow. Ooh. Everyone, check our site tomorrow. We've got some good stuff.
Very good. All right. Well, I think we should wrap this up. What do you say?
Yep. Sounds good.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We'll see you in the future.